Thomas Merton wrote about what is central in a man, the soul. He says, the life of the soul is love, and without love, the soul cannot exist. But a soul that gives its love to the wrong object throws its life away. Life dictates a man's freedom to the object of his love. And if a man consecrate his freedom to something that cannot fulfill the deepest capacities of his rational being, he throws his freedom away. He is a captive. He remains in darkness and in sorrow, and his whole life is a defeat. There are many different ways of loving God, but ultimately they all tend to a perfect and all-exclusive absorption in Him alone. If they do not, then they are not really love of God. Man can dedicate their lives to God by taking care of sick people or teaching in schools, for they see His image reflected in the soul of other man, and they wish to serve Him by imitating and carrying on the work of mercy that Christ performed on earth. A little more complicated to understand, but worth to try to understand. There is possible on earth an experience of highest reality, an obscured but immediate contact with the very substance of Him who is truth. At the moment of such contact, the intellect and will of man draw down into their own depths, meeting one another in the soul essence, in which they are naturally united, are, as it were, liquefied, dissolved, and flow into the spiritual immensity, who is darkness to us because He is pure light. In a tremendous and fruitful silence, an abyss of pure freedom, the soul discovers in an incommunicable experience what is going to happen to it one day when it passes over into God forever, to be transformed into Him and become one spirit with Him forever. Every one of us is shadowed by an illusory person, a false self. This is the man that I want myself to be, but who cannot exist because God does not know anything about him. And to be unknown of God is altogether too much privacy. My false and private self is the one who wants to exist outside the reach of God's will and God's love, outside of reality and outside of life. And such a self cannot help but be an illusion. We are not very good at recognizing illusions, least of all the one we cherished about ourselves, the ones we are born with and which feeds the root of sin. For most of the people in the world, there is no greater subjective reality than this false self of theirs, which cannot exist. A life devoted to the cult of this shadow is what is called a life of sin. All sin starts from the assumption that my false self, the self that exists only in my own egocentric desire, is the fundamental reality of life to which everything else in the universe is ordered. Thus, I use up my life in the desire for pleasure and the thirst for experience, for power, honor, knowledge, and love, to clothe this false self and construct its nothingness into something objectively real. And I win experience around myself and cover myself with pleasure and glory like bandage sin, order to make myself perspective to myself and to the world, as if I were an invisible body that could only become visible when something visible covers its surface. The secret of my identity is hidden in the love and mercy of God. If I find Him, I will find myself, and if I find my true self, I will find Him. The only one who can teach me to find God is God. God alone. Hope it helped you to reflect. I am much aware that it is not easy to understand everything I said. Understanding it would really change your life and help you understand better who is our God. Life has a profound meaning, and you would say easier that life is a gift of God. Have a great day.